to Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today on Around Kansas, we start with a look at Scenic Kansas, a video created by Nick Apt of Apt Films. Next, we'll look at memories from the clothesline, and we'll have a poem from Ron Wilson. Then we'll end with a look at golfer and recent champion, Gary Woodland. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
A good Wednesday morning. I'm Deb Goodrich reporting from my High Plains kitchen once more. So glad you could join us. Have my coffee. Hope you do too. Because you're going to need some energy to get through today's show. We got so many cool things going on. Dr. Jake and I just got back from a wonderful trip to Pampa, Texas, where we visited our friends at the White Deer Land Office Museum. Phenomenal. They are doing a lot of renovations, telling the story of the Red River War. I think they will be the only institution to tell that story from start to finish. And lest you think that's all about Texas, Kansas has some pretty incredible connections to that story. So we will share more about that on another episode of Around Kansas. We, of course, are getting ready for our Trails to Rails celebration at the Butterfield Trail Museum in Russell Springs and the Fort Wallace Museum at Wallace on July 13th. We will actually be running stages on the old Smoky Hill Trail as we revive the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. And people can get tickets for $175 while they last. They are going quickly. We have 4 stagecoaches running that trek. And they will have cavalry escort. And it's going to be a pretty spectacular photo op, whether you choose to ride on the stage or not. So send me an email or call the museum for more information. Also, a couple of very special guests for that event will be Western writer Monty McCord, who I think may bring some books to sign and maybe have a few remarks, and our dear friend Peter Scirocco. And many of you will recall Peter from the movie Tombstone. Yes, that classic. The only film I have ever gone to see in the theater 3 times. I can't tell you how many times I've seen it, but I went to the theater 3 times to see it. Nothing else. So, yeah, it's just a classic. Now, the book that I am, get rid of those, that I am currently engrossed in, War Party in Blue, Pawnee Scouts in the U.S. Army, by Mark Vandelot, and I'm so sorry, Mark. If you are listening, please call or email me and correct me on the pronunciation of your name. This was published a few years ago by the University of Oklahoma Press, which is an outstanding source for history of the American West. University of Oklahoma is unsurpassed. So the Pawnee were often scouts for the U.S. Army and an undertold story in the Plains Indian Wars. And this year marks the 150th anniversary since the massacre of some Pawnee scouts who had been discharged from the American Army, and they were actually passing near Salina and were killed along Mulberry Creek. And the one of the post surgeons at the time actually dug up the bodies and cut off the heads and had them sent to Washington. And this is how many of the Native American remains that fell under the Repatriation Act in the 1970s, this is how they were collected, many of them. just one of the most tragic stories in American history, and but a very, very important one. And the service of the Pawnee Scouts is really well told in this book. So I really encourage you to get this. And it's also a great time to plug the conference, the Smoky Hill Trail Conference, coming up this fall at Wallace in October. Our friend Brenda Culbertson, who is the astronomer and author extraordinaire, is actually going to be speaking on the Pawnee tribe and how their belief system was based on the stars. And it's just fascinating. So if you would like to hear Brenda speak and the other fantastic lineup that we have going on, just let us know. All right, folks, got a great show. Stay with us.
This segment brought to you by the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center in Oakley.
Our friend Nick Apt, who is the filmmaker extraordinaire, he's responsible for that wonderful commercial for the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, has done it again. He has a Facebook page called Scenic Kansas, and he shares some of his own work and then photographs and films from other folks. And we want to share some of those with you because they're just incredible, just amazing work. And, you know, he is not a native. Nick is not a native Kansan, but man, has he come to love our state. And he loves the natural beauty of our state and does such a wonderful job of sharing it with other folks. So he's done several segments for Scenic Kansas about just different parts of the state. And it doesn't matter what part of the state he's in. He finds what is beautiful and he captures it and he celebrates it and shares it with all of us. Let's take a look at the wonderful work of Nick Apt. Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about employee safety and work comp coverage. On your farm, do you ask your friends to come help? Are they considered employees or neighbors helping neighbors? Did you know that you can be held responsible just as if it's a work comp accident? Give me a call, we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we'll be glad to answer and work with you.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
The new Better Horses Network is worldwide. Presented by Lucas Oil. Featuring worldwide radio and TV with iconic hosts like Al Dunning, Sharon Camarillo, Ernie Rodina, Lindy Birch, and Craig Cameron. With American Cowboy, Horse and Rider, Brushy Creek, Cavenders, and Ride TV. Worldwide radio and TV. The all-new Better Horses Network.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
It was a perfect summer day on the High Plains. Hot, but not excessively so. Windy, but not blowing barrels across the yard. It was the perfect day to hang out laundry. We have a dryer and thus have no need of the clothesline. We have been so far behind on mowing because of all the events we have been involved in that I was afraid to get near the clothesline and the tall grass if I had wanted to use it. But once there was a path cleared and I had some quilts that needed to be washed, I took advantage of that rare perfect day to hang them outside. Is there anything more beautiful than clean laundry on a clothesline on a perfect day? Granny washed clothes on Tuesdays. Her wringer washer sat on the porch, and she filled tubs of water from the spigot out front, heated them on the wood stove in the kitchen. Her laundry hamper was an appliance box, left over no doubt from one of Daddy's jobs. Granny covered it in green floral wallpaper, and I thought it the cleverest idea in the world. Wash day was an all-day affair, and the glorious fruits of her efforts were all those clean sheets and towels hanging from the line. If it rained, Granny hung the laundry upstairs in the loft over the kitchen. There were lines stretched across it, too. There was a vent cut in the floor just above the kitchen stove, so hanging clothes out in the summer could be pretty steamy, but in the winter it was perfect. One of those Tuesdays that it rained, I went with Grandpa to the store to get wash powders. The storekeeper asked, "Surely Maggie's not going to wash clothes today. It's raining." Grandpa replied, "I reckon she would wash clothes on Tuesday if the house was burning down." Granny giggled when I told her that. I told everything. My clothesline in Kansas, 1,000 miles away from that spot and 1,000 years in time, takes me back. I bury my face in the quilt and fill my lungs with the smell of grass and sky, old quilts, and precious memories.
What if U.S. soybean oil were an industry sensation? If end users started asking for it by name? That future is here, the time is now. To meet customer demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in varieties that produce oil with increased functionality. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Join us at the Butterfield Trail Museum and the Fort Wallace Museum for the Trails to Rails celebration July 12th, 13th, and 14th, as once again Butterfield's Overland Dispatch runs stages on the Smoky Hill Trail from Russell Springs to Pond Creek Station at Wallace. Reliving history is a lot more fun than the folks had making it.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
One of the great organizations for farm and rural youth historically was the 4-H Club, which is now open to youth from any setting, city or rural. But this is my tribute to the 4-H Club, Head, Heart, Hands, and Health. My voice began to quiver and my knees began to knock as I had to go forward to give my 4-H talk. I stared down at my paper. My throat just seemed to choke. I was too shy to stand up in front of all these folk. But somehow the words came and my voice came back big as I told the club about how to show a market pig. It was a rough feeling for a kid, I will allege, but then we all stood to recite the 4-H pledge. For head, heart, hands, and health we took the vow to pursue a better life and make the best better somehow. My 4-H journey had begun. It took me far and wide, thanks to friends and caring leaders who stood right by my side. I learned that I could give a talk, and then we had good eating. I learned I could judge livestock and preside over a meeting. Those skills would serve me well as I progressed on through my life. I found a fellow 4-H'er when I met my lovely wife. Now our kids are members of the 4-H organization, which makes them part of the third generation. The members still recite the pledge and stand in unison and have recreation when the business part is done. And I see the younger members who get up for their first talk with their voice all a-quiver and their faces pale as chalk. Be assured that I will thank them and give them lots of praise, for I know that they will learn and grow throughout their 4-H days. Happy trails.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Trust and leadership are critical to success at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center in Manhattan. Just ask Coach Bill Snyder.
People of the Regenerative Center do care about others. I've been highly impressed with those people that have that vested interest and try to help people become better. The center really is a wonderful thing here in Manhattan, first of its kind. We're on the cutting edge of what lies ahead.
Find out more about the trusted leader in stem cell therapy at kansasrmc.com. Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Well, folks in Topeka, and Lawrence too, could not have been more excited a couple of weeks ago when native son Gary Woodland won the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach, California. Wow, Gary has been such an ambassador for Topeka for a long, long time, and his alma mater of KU, and he was an Ichabod for a while too. Sorry we lost him to KU, go Bods. But oh well, he had a wonderful career there, and he is making a wonderful career in the world. And we are just so pleased to join in the rest of Kansas in congratulating Gary Woodland and wishing him continued success. And I was really thrilled to share some of the views that other people had of him. Sports writers at the Topeka Capital Journal who were just on cloud nine, and then so many fans, not only here in Kansas, but elsewhere, and their thoughts on his championship. Once again, congratulations.
Topeka Capital Journal reporter Brent Maycock acknowledged that the first rule of professionalism in sports journalism is to put aside your own rooting interest and report in an objective and unbiased manner. But reporters are only human. Or, as Brent wrote this week, damn the rules. Brent isn't the only Topekan celebrating the fact that native son Gary Woodland has won the U.S. Open Golf Championship. That's a big deal. Brent and his fellow staffers have been following the 30-something golfer for years and cheering for him, even if they had to appear unbiased. Gary attended Shawnee Heights in Tecumseh, then went on to Washburn to play basketball, but left pretty quickly to play golf for KU. He has a solid fan base in northeastern Kansas, even among people who are not really golf fans. Kathy Lafferty, who works at KU, commented on the U.S. Open broadcast, "I never watch golf, never, but because he's from here and a fellow alum, I couldn't stop watching." Topekan Doug Tyree commented, "Topeka has a long and strong tradition of great golfers, men and women alike. An uncle learned here, played national senior tourneys out of KC. An older brother caddied for $12 a game plus tips in the 1950s. My mother played for decades for fun, and being older, it took an extra stroke to get on the green. But once she did, she could putt. There are a lot of golfers like that here. Even the amateurs have a certain ability to mine the skill, be equally admired for the dedication, and thus play with better golfers than themselves. This creates a tradition, a milieu of learning skills for golf that breeds young men like this. Kudos to Mr. Woodland for doing something really special." Angie Hafley of High Plains Public Radio echoed Kathy's sentiments. "Amazing! I don't even like golf, but fortunately got to see him play the final 3 holes with my dad on Father's Day. So I'll never forget it." Topekan Patty Kane said, "He has worked so hard and has had so many ups and downs. This is so awesome for him and his family, and especially on Father's Day. What a present to his dad, Dan." Jeannie Schuler agreed. Hard-working, supportive parents, local college athlete, reportedly a well-liked guy on the tour, heartwarming story of his babies. What's not to love?
It has been wonderful sharing Wednesday morning with you. I'm Deb Goodrich, and I'll see you somewhere around Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream.